So looking at the heart itself, we will now look at how the transport of the blood actually goes. Okay, so I would like you to listen very carefully, because this is the area that students usually get confused. Okay, so the heart itself, you have got the right side and you have got the left side. Okay, so your left hand or your left side of you is facing the right atrium, and it is identified in blue to be deoxygenated blood. Okay, your right hand is facing the left side of the heart, which is considered to be oxygenated blood. Okay, so of course, when your cells have used up the oxygen, what happens? You have got deoxygenated blood. Now this deoxygenated blood is going to come back into the top of the heart, which is called the right atrium. Okay, so the heart is divided into 4 areas: 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. The top 2, they are called the atrium, and the bottom 2, they are called the ventricle. Okay, now the right side is just called right atrium, the bottom right is called the right ventricle. Okay, so how you name it? You name it based on whether they are at the top or at the bottom, and name it whether it is on the right or it is on the left. Okay, so of course the left side and the right side of the heart is separated by what we know as the septum. Okay, so again, your deoxygenated blood will enter into your right atrium. Okay, it will pass through your right ventricle into your right ventricle, and then it will come out of here to enter into your lungs. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier on, so when it goes out to your lungs here, the purpose of going to the lungs area is to get it reoxygenated, so that when you are breathing in, it becomes reoxygenated. Okay, so carbon dioxide diffuses out, and then your oxygen will diffuse back in. Okay, so for the oxygenated blood, it will then enter back into the left side of the heart. So enter into the left atrium. Okay, so once it enters into the left atrium itself, it will then enter into the left ventricle. Okay, now when this part of the heart itself contracts, when it pumps and pushes the blood all the way out to the aorta, to other parts of the body. Okay, so one thing is, you notice that we have got these white color sections that I will circle in green. Okay, so we have got these sections here. Okay, so these are what we call valves. Okay, so what is the purpose of the valve? Is to ensure that the blood is only flowing in one direction. Okay, so when it is flowing in one direction, so when right atrium enters into the right ventricle and the right ventricle contracts to push the blood up, this valve is closed. Okay, so that will prevent blood from going back into the right atrium. Okay, so similarly, when the right ventricle contracts, blood is being pushed out of here, and shortly after, this valve will close to prevent the blood from flowing back here. Okay, so on the left side, it is the same. Reoxygenated blood enters back into the left atrium, and from the left atrium, it enters into the left ventricle. So once the left ventricle contracts, to prevent blood from going back up, we have got a valve here. Okay, so when it contracts here and pushes it up here to the aorta, shortly after, this valve will close to prevent the blood from going back downwards. Alright, now what do you notice about the chambers, or rather the muscles of the heart themselves? Okay, you realize that over here, this wall here is much thicker than this wall. Okay, so the left side of the heart, the walls are thicker. Why? Okay, so when the right ventricle contracts, where are they pumping to? They are pumping the blood only to the lungs, which is a short distance from the heart. On the other hand, when the left ventricle contracts, they have to pump the blood to all parts of the body, which is why the contraction force is much stronger. And you require a thicker set of muscles in this junction.